Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching our show. I know a lot of you are in Bethel Park watching us on Comcast 7. Thanks a lot. Verizon 32s everywhere, including Bethel Park, and Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. We hit a new high. I think it was 2863. Thank you very much for all the likes. We appreciate it. We have a lot of great sports here. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner. And Little Z's in transit right now. He got in a little traffic, so he should be here shortly. Smoking Jim Frazier got another call for the big leagues. He's on PCNC with Ellis Cannon tonight talking Steeler draft. So he won't be in tonight. You have to watch again at another time for him. And we usually start with what's on our mind. And Chip, we're going to start with what's on your mind right now.
What's on my mind? Well, I got a couple of things that's on my mind this week. And, one of the first ones is, it's a shame my friend Jim Frazier's not here this week because I want to touch on a good friend of his and ours, one of our favorite whipping boys from the second round draft from 2 years ago, Mike Adams, who failed miserably in his court case.
Yes.
Is now being sued by one of the people that was accused of stabbing him that spent 11 months in jail. So, this guy, the hits just keep coming for him. Rudy's, please make him go away. That's the first thing that's on my mind. Secondly, I want to give a little shout out to Youngstown State University. Okay, and why do I bring up Youngstown State? Well, Youngstown State, I think, what are the administrators of that school thinking? They have decided to elect Jim Tressel as the president of the university. Now, let me just give you a little 411 on Jim Tressel. Jim Tressel was a football coach, and he brought Youngstown State 4 Division II NCAA titles. He was also sanctioned for cheating and lying about it, and subsequently the 4 national titles, the lying, the cheating, got him a job at the Ohio State University, where once again he used the same methods to get a national championship in 2002, which then prompted him to continue his unsavory behavior, which led to his being sanctioned again by the NCAA and banned from life for coaching in the NCAA. So that's the kind of person that you want running your university. Youngstown State, nice job, guys. Keep it real. There was something else. Oh, and please, I know we've heard a lot about Donald Sterling, and if anybody has a case for pleading insanity, if you watched his interview last night,
insane.
He's got it locked up. He gets on television and he's trying to apologize for his racist remarks, and he's trying to be repentant. And he's with Anderson Cooper, who is a well-acknowledged gay man, and he starts talking about how sorry he is, and then he goes into an attack on Magic Johnson, and he starts talking about Magic Johnson's proclivity for female companionship and the fact that he got AIDS and spread it around the United States, and then he has enough nerve to go to Anderson Cooper and he says, that his behavior, the racist comments he made, stemmed from his jealousy. He said, "Didn't you ever have a girlfriend that you got jealous over?" And I was like,
I know.
How is this guy allowed on TV? Donald Sterling, shut up. Go away, please. That's what's on my mind.
Chip, thanks. And Zach Brenner just ran the 40-yard dash, the best he's ever done, and he's here live, folks. What's on your mind, Zach?
Well, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. What's on my mind? Game 7, the Pittsburgh Penguins down at Console Arena right now as we speak. The game should be starting at roughly, 7:15?
No, it should be started now.
It started at 7.
So hopefully the Penguins come out to an early hot start and don't get behind to the Rangers. And they don't let Henrik the King Lundqvist steal this Game 7 from us. But in recent history, the Penguins are 2-5 in Game 7s overall in their tenure. 2-6. 2-5, 2-6.
Latest update here.
Latest update from Google Hainer. But what's really on my mind is a 7th round draft pick from the St. Louis Rams is garnering so much attention. How many 7th round draft picks in the history of the NFL have garnered as much attention as Mr. Sam's has? Just the sheer announcement of his number today generated a buzz. He has an endorsement deal from Visa, and I just can't think of too many 7th round draft picks that have the kind of exposure and attention that this man is getting for being for liking the opposite sex. But that's just my opinion. He has a lot to prove, in my opinion, on the football field, regardless of all the attention that he's getting off of the field. So let's see if if he can live up to the hype on the field as coming with off the field, and that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Zach Brenner. I appreciate it. Well, there's a lot of things on my mind, but I'm focused on the Penguins. That's all I'm focused on. And John Nieder, before I come in, hit me up on Facebook. What's your prediction? Talking machine. I said Pens 4-1. Score more goals. That's how simple it is. I mean, who cares how Fleury's playing? Who cares that they haven't scored? We paid all this money. I don't want to see paper champions anymore. This is the year. This is it. If not, Bausma's gone. There may be other shakeups and changes throughout this lineup too. You can't fire the whole team, but it sure would help. Let's go Pens. Let's be positive. 4-1. Somebody send us a score. We need that. And I want to shout out to E. Hope you're not tossing any more pizzas up right now at Bishop's, so hope you're at home relaxing. Talk to you later. Now we're going to revisit what's on our mind. And Zach, you missed a little bit about what Chip brought up. And we can revisit a few things there. We got everything from, I have a conspiracy theory about Magic Johnson and Sterling. So,
and I also have the same thing, and I do believe that Magic Johnson, this is just my humble opinion. I have no evidence to prove this one way or another.
Say it out loud.
But I do believe that Magic Johnson had something to do with getting Donald Sterling's racist remarks on tape. And, I know that he's part of a group that would like to purchase the Los Angeles Clippers. And, whatever may happen to the team, I hope that his group is the one that doesn't get it. If you can't get it legitimately, to take those kind of methods, I'm
with you, Chip.
I'm not okay with that.
I was just telling my friends.
I'm very proud of the 80-year-old some man for firing back and standing his ground. I mean, it is America. You're entitled to your own opinion, and he's stuck in the 1950s, so, I mean, that's his opinion. But if he got set up, he got set up. If he got coerced and it was recorded because somebody paid, I mean, that's just really a shame altogether. But, I mean, I'm completely entertained now that the 80-some-year-old guy's firing back at Magic Johnson, because Magic Johnson is not squeaky clean. There's not a single person on this planet that is squeaky clean when it comes down to it. So, Magic, quit trying to act like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. You got, skeletons in your closet, friend. So, you might want to own the Los Angeles Clippers, but there's other ways to do it. And I just feel like, maybe the Magic crossed the line, and that's going to come out later on down the road.
I don't know if it'll ever come out, but there has to be some type of payola, because why would it come out now? And 1 week before he was supposed to get another award from the NCAA.
The
right?
NAACP, he was going to get a couple of awards, and it's like, and it's kind of interesting that one of the cockroaches that come crawling out of the cracks whenever something like this happens. Al Sharpton has been silent.
Al who?
And he was one of the people that had him up for the award. So it's a big mess, and really all Donald Sterling has to do is transfer ownership of the team over to his wife's name.
Hold it, wait, he doesn't want to do that. His wife might get in trouble too, and then she's saying she's getting a divorce. This is enough for this news cycle. Yeah. I'm getting tired of it.
But hey, just to revisit, I know, like Alan and my friend Zach over here to my left, I'm a huge Penguins fan, and I would love nothing more than to see them win tonight. However, that being said, I don't have a very good feeling about this Penguin team. This Penguin team has the talent to beat any of the teams that are in the playoffs right now. I just don't believe that they have the heart to go a full 7 games, play 60-minute games. Henrik Lundqvist is, I probably think, the best goaltender in 7th games, maybe in NHL history. He's played in 5 of them so far. He's won his last 4, the last one being less than 2 weeks ago. And, this will be his 6th one. And, this is a guy that knows how to rise to the occasion in big games. Penguins are 2-6 in Game 7s, and they have not won a Game 7 at home since 1995. What the Penguins need to do is they need to get out early, and they need to start scoring early. And I think if the Rangers get out and score first, that the Penguins could be in for a long night. And, I think frustration's going to set in, and then frustration's going to come out with the fan base too.
Without a
doubt. And I honestly believe that there's something wrong with Sidney Crosby. I saw a statistic yesterday that over the last 3 years, last year he played in 41 games. The year before he played in 48 games. The year before that, 30-some games. This year so far, up to today, he's played in 99 games. Is fatigue a problem? Is he playing hurt? And if he's playing hurt, is he doing his team a disservice by playing hurt? I don't know. We can't get any answers on that. But, the Sid Crosby that we've watched and known to love is not the same guy that's been showing up game after game.
No.
But, I'm pulling for them to win this. I don't have a real good feeling about it right
Anybody
now.
that wants to call in if there's a score, let me know. 412-831-3304. And I'm with you. Ollie Mata's a little tired. They didn't rest him like they should have. The Penguins are so key on winning during the regular season and getting what they can. And that's always a good thing for the fan base, except the fans are getting a little frustrated like we're all saying here. They got a team that could win. They're much better than everybody. They haven't produced yet. When your top players don't score goals, I think that's what they pay all the millions for.
Well,
and that's what should happen.
It's not that the team could win. The team should win. You know what I mean? Just the talent level is just.
But the thing of it is, the thing about this, what you just said, team. There's no book nobody on this panel, nobody in this city, nobody on this planet can say that is a team. In order to be a team, you have to play as a team. You have to buy in as a team. You have, everything. So many things have to come together to win a championship, let alone the Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup is one of the hardest championships in all
you need
professional
16
sports.
Games. You got to win 16 games.
It's one of the hardest.
I agree with you.
We're stuck at 7.
So my thing is the teams, battle-tested teams. The men separate themselves from the boys, and you find out real fast and real quick. What a team is truly made of, and that's why we crown a champion every year, and that best team wins. And that's why we play the games, and however many games Al keeps track of.
No, you only need 16 wins.
He got his abacus at home, and he keeps track of the games. I just go one game at a time. And tonight, hopefully, this team wakes up and realizes that there's a whole heck of a lot on the line tonight. And if they want to continue to be a team, per se, they have to win tonight. They have to take care of their business. And then we got to play the winner of Boston and Montreal, which is also a Game 7.
Game 7, and the other 2 series, Anaheim and Los Angeles Kings, that series is now at 3-2. That could possibly end up in 7. And Chicago and Minnesota are at 3-2.
Well, I think we can all agree. If we lose this hockey game tonight, Dan Bylsma absolutely has to get fired. I don't see any scenario how we lose tonight and Bylsma stays, because in my opinion, Dan Bylsma has, ridden on the coattails of Michel Therrien's system that got him the first Stanley Cup. And ever since we got that first Stanley Cup, we're kind of like, we were kind of like enamored like we were with Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, oh man, he was the greatest thing. He came in quick and we got a Super Bowl faster than any other coach that we had in a long time in Steeler history. Well, the same thing happened with Dan Bylsma, and you kind of get enamored with these guys because you're like, hey, well, it was only like 2009 the last time we won. Well, hey, it was 2009. We're in 2014 now. So I think it's time, we got some of the greatest players in the world. And you know what? The fact that Sidney Crosby isn't playing good also upsets me because of the fact that he's getting whacked in the head, he's getting cross-checked, and the league doesn't do anything about it. They're more worried about finding guys for squirting water at other guys than they are for protecting the stars of the league.
Neither are his teammates. And that, retaliation is one thing, but you know what? I saw Sid getting manhandled. I see him getting cross-checked around the back of the head. Hey, you know what? If they can get away with doing it without getting whistled for it, the refs turn their heads. I think his turnaround is fair play. And then the Penguins are not a tough team. They feel, here, we'll get even with them, we'll score. Well, you're not doing that either.
Well, we need a couple of those guys, Tanner Glass, Bortuzzo.
Derek Englund.
Yeah, well... We need a couple guys that can mix it up a little when something happens.
And you guys know as better as any, especially if we're going to stick with the team theme. We'll stick with the team theme tonight on tonight's show, especially on a team. The third and fourth line in hockey is so pivotal. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the most important, but it's super important. It's like I'm going to put it like in baseball, like they call on innings eaters with these pitchers. Well, the third and fourth line, you need those grinders. They got to produce something. They can't blow the game for you and let in goals, but they have to produce something. One of those guys on the third or fourth line has to score some goals, as well as the stars on the top two lines.
That's the problem is that the people like UC Jokinen and others and the defensemen are scoring the goals, and you're not getting the production so much. You take away Evgeny Malkin's game where he scored the hat trick, and he's not really having a good series.
No.
James Neal. Hey, has anybody heard or seen James Neal?
I heard an interview on Mother's Day.
And other than he's a dirty player, I haven't heard anything about him.
It's frustrating.
And it is frustrating. And if the Penguins lose tonight, I do believe that the coach will be replaced, and we've got Jacques Martin as the assistant head coach, and he is a defensive-minded coach. And there's also the coach who was the original head coach for the Nashville Predators, who's also a very good friend of Ray Sherrill's, who is also another defensive-minded coach. And you know what? We've got the offensive firepower. We spend way too much time passing the puck. We need to throw pucks at the net. We need to crash the net.
Is defense really the problem right now? Because in my personal opinion, defense isn't really the problem. We can't score goals. So what does it matter if we get a defensive-minded coach? We can't score goals. So
with defense, Zach, you are playing in a disciplined system when we are completely undisciplined in the way we play hockey.
When your power play fires blanks and goes abysmal, and your top stars, some of the greatest players in the league, aren't scoring goals and living up to their expectations.
You mean the power play that's 1 for 19?
You can't.
I call it the power outage.
You can't put it all on the goaltender. The goaltender can't score the goals. And even if we were losing 1-0 games, we're still not scoring any goals for the man. Give him a 3-0 lead and see.
I'm hopeful.
It's not insurmountable, but give them a lead for Pete's sakes.
No, I understand that. Well, we've done our Penguin segment now because you can see we're passionate about it, and I know you, ladies and gentlemen out there, are passionate about your Penguins. I know you're watching. If Devin's in the control room, give me a little text on what's the score, even if it's 0-0. I'm on pins and needles right now, and then the Buccos play at 8:05.
So they did. The Penguins The Pirates have a pivotal series against the Brewers, and the Pirates are 6-1 against the Brewers this year. And last year we had the upper hand on them, and we've got the pitching matchup that prompted the benches clearing brawl on Easter Sunday. Garrett Cole is on the mound tonight, so we'll see what happens. These are two teams. Bitter rivals. The Pirates have traditionally not done well against. They call Miller Park the House of Horrors for the Pirates. Yeah. So they started turning the corner. They won the last 3 series in a row, and I think as long as they keep on doing the way they have been playing, and they've been playing very, very well. The pitching has still been a little suspect, but the offense has awakened. Right. And I think Marte moving down to the 5 or 6 hole has helped spark the offense.
Now they mixed it up. We're going to go back to that a little towards the end, but I did want to mention, I know people want to switch that dial, but don't do it yet. We got Sips Sports Bar to bring that up and some conversation there. We had a nice show there with a lot of great guests. Zach Brenner brought a Steel Valley guy in there who got drafted by the Houston Texans. Shout out to Tyrone. Thanks for coming on short notice. We appreciate it. Great interview. And, of course, they had the meatball hoagie. I haven't had one in 3 weeks, but we did have the meatball hoagie there. Shout out to the Campedes. It's Sip Sports Bar, 50 cents a slice. Make sure you get your 50 cents a slice for Campedes Pizza. Thursday night is those wings, 25 cents. They got entertainment Friday and Saturday, parking for free. Come out next Monday night, check out our guests, check out the food and drinks. We appreciate you coming out there. And we had a special guest that, Chip, you may like this. This lady who made the statue of Roberto Clemente, Willie Stargell, and Bill Mazeroski, Susan Wagner. Well, she also made a statue, and I want to show this, John. You can check this out. It's Magic Johnson. No, not Magic Johnson. I'm sorry. You got me thinking. Michael Jordan. I know. Freudian slip.
Please don't compare.
Yeah, don't compare that. If you can get a close-up, John, with that new camera, we got this great camera. Here's what happened on this. Somebody actually stole this. And you can get this on camera here. That's what it looks like. And it's called, what is it, a MyTech? It's a small statue, about 18 inches tall. And somebody stole it. You can return it to this GFP Cafe in Shadyside where Susan has her work. Anonymously drop it off. And then another one of her statues that she made, somebody stole this one, and it was right out of Pittsburgh that somebody stole this. So if you want to check that out, I don't know if you can get a little closer here, John. Making you work a little. By the way, John did an excellent job. It was the first time he flew solo, and he had assistance by his double named John. So those are a couple statues that...
1-0 Rangers.
No way.
13 minutes.
Thanks for the update. I need one more. We got our friend of our show, Miss Freddie, at Moondogs on the 24th. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. She's doing this fundraiser and everything at Naiad's Hotel Band. Check that out. John, can you pull in? Thank you. Check that out. Appreciate it. That's our SIP segment. Now, Smoking Jim's not here with any fiction and fact from his almanac. He didn't leave me any notes, and I know he's talking to Ellis Cannon right now about the draft. We're going to go to one of my favorite segments, Chip's Trivia Time. What do you got, Chip?
Oh, thank you, Alan. I've got some baseball trivia. Oh, what a big shock there.
From you?
Yeah, and I know some of it goes back to the turn of the last century. So it's just a few days before Zach, and I found a couple of interesting things here. On May 10th, 1909. You know, I bring some of this trivia up because it's been well documented, my dislike for the way the pitchers are treated in baseball. They put pitchers on pitch counts. A guy's considered having a good pitching outing if he pitches 5 innings. And, you know, when I played baseball when I was a child, and, you pitched the game. You know, I mean, you pitched 5 innings, and it's like, what do you mean? No, we're not working a half a day here, you know. So it's just so that I preface this, pitching for Winchester in the Bluegrass League, Fred Toney worked 17 no-hit innings before winning 1-0 over Lexington.
17.
That is a pitcher right there. 17 no-hit innings.
Zach, that's like 2 games.
Yeah.
9 plus 9 is 18.
Okay, and also on May 10th, 1967. You know, Alan knows my proclivity for the, home run champion of the major leagues.
Yes.
Hammer and Hank Aaron. On May 10th, 1967, he hit an inside-the-park home run. It was the only one of his career 755 home runs. Every other one left the ballpark. I thought that was a fairly interesting statistic. May 12th. 1970, Ernie Banks, member of the Hall of Fame.
Good day to play, too.
Mr. Cub hit his 500th home run, and that was PED-free. Also, on May 12, 2001, this is a little throwback for somebody who Jim seems to think that the Pirates disrespected, but I have a different opinion about that. A.J. Burnett pitched an unlikely no-hitter, overcoming a record 9 walks on May 12, 2001, to lead the Florida Marlins over the San Diego Padres.
What was the final score?
3-0. 3-0, okay? Also, I brought up this one because I like to tease my wife a lot. We go to a lot of Pirate games, and her main wish is that the game is over in 9 innings, and somehow we always end up being there for extra innings. So the longest game in baseball history happened on May 9th, 1984. The Chicago White Sox and the Milwaukee Brewers battled for 8 hours and 6 minutes in the longest game ever. After playing 17 innings the previous day with no final winner, the teams met again before a regularly scheduled game, making the total 34 innings for 2 days. Harold Baines homered off Chuck Porter with 1 out in the bottom of the 25th inning for a 7-6 victory. And here's the most interesting part about this. Tom Seaver was the winning pitcher in both games.
What did he come in relief?
He pitched the first inning. He pitched the 25th inning, got the win, and he pitched the next game that followed it. I think that's a great statistic. True, only from a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Tom, terrific.
What a pitcher he was.
May 13th, 1958. The Nora Zone, Stan Musial got his 3,000th hit. And the interesting thing, I brought this up when Stan Mann passed away. He had 1,815 hits from the right side of the plate and 1,815 hits from the left side of the plate. You want to talk about a consistent hitter? And the last thing I got here is, I know Zach's never heard of him, but there's a famous pitcher in the major leagues. His name was Walter Johnson, and his nickname was the Big Train. Okay, and he pitched around the turn of the century, and one of his peers at that time was Cy Young. Walter Johnson of the Washington Senators pitched 12 scoreless innings in a duel with Jack Quinn of the New York Yankees at the Polo Grounds. The Big Train allowed only 2 hits and retired 28 batters in a row. The interesting part of this, future football star George Halas, batting leadoff for the Yankees, went 0 for 5, striking out twice. Now that was the one I had for Jim.
I like it.
You know, old Papa Bear, the father of the NFL, was a leadoff hitter for the New York Yankees. Yeah. So he was quite the accomplished athlete.
That's a double trivia time there on one point.
Yep.
Thanks, Chip. Good stuff there. Appreciate it. Now it's time for Z time. Let's see what Z got.
Well, what do I got? Well, the Penguins are down 1-0 to the Rangers on a 12-foot wrist shot that went past Marc-Andre Fleury. I didn't get to see it, obviously. I'm here talking to you guys. You know, nobody's been kind enough to call in.
412-831-3304.
But what's got me pumped up is the prospects for Lightning Rod Sulka at 135 pounds. Right now, he should be rated about number 10 in the world with the WBC interim belt that he holds on to. I've also got late-breaking word that Paul Spadafora is trying to get back into the ring. We'll see whether or not that materializes. Better late than never. On Friday, me and Al Levine, the Talking Machine, are going to be making our way to Atlantic City to see my good friend Brutal Brendan Barrett defend his heavyweight cage fighting belt. And the next following night, on Saturday night, down at Mountaineer Casino and Racetrack, we got Team Hutchinson, Ed Lattimore, and Monty Mays Clay making his return back to the ring. So I'm very excited for a great week of fights this weekend. But I got to fight my way through the work week first. So
okay,
that's a little bit of Z time. And I just want to give another shout out to Tyrone Ezel, fellow Still Valley product, for coming out and being a guest on our show last night. Nothing but the best friend and your prospects out there and with the Houston Texans.
Very good. Thanks, Z. Now, our NFL scout's not here tonight, but I do have our segment for the Steeler draft. I'm over here, John. Thanks.
Over there.
And with the Steeler draft, with the 9 picks that they have, they were about 50-50 on offense and defense. I think they went for 5 defense and 4 offense. Yes. So, I mean, they need help, but how many rookies actually start for the Steelers?
Well,
that's what I look at. We do get some instant help, but how many do?
I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. And I was communicating with Jim while he was in the war room, and I was bugging him for his grade. And of course, if you listened to my opening segment last week, I said the one thing is for certain about the draft last week is that Jim was going to eat a good steak dinner.
He was
going to hate every one of our draft picks, and he graded it as a D-. But if you look at the draft, how do you really grade a draft class on draft day? Because on paper, everybody, I mean, every one of these players filled a need. Now, whether or not any of these guys can play football, we're going to find out. One of the things that I found interesting was this kid that we picked up in the third round, Dry Archer. Kid's 5'8", 175 pounds. But this is the most interesting thing I heard about him. That he bench pressed 225 pounds more times than Mike Adams did.
Oh, no, that's your pet peeve about Mike. I didn't even want to go about Mike.
Yeah, he said they said he bench pressed it 25 times.
I'll give you a name.
All right.
Amos Zerway.
I remember.
Amos Zerway.
Famous Amos
could
from West
bench
Virginia.
Press more than some linemen.
My point being that Jim's contention all along, even before he was drafted, is that Mike Adams was soft, and I think his play on the field has proven that, and his play in the South Side
has proven it. How about this? And his shenanigans in the South Side, he proved he's soft.
Yeah,
because the man got, for a man his size, he kind of didn't hold his own against three cronies from Hazelwood. So that's just my personal opinion.
At 6'7",
and I'm not a Pittsburgh Steeler, and I probably walk past those three cronies from Hazelwood every day, and they're not, they're not bothering me.
But I don't know. Maybe if you had 25 drinks, it might be a different story.
And whatever else you were doing.
But for the record, if I was out having 25 drinks, do you know the company that I keep at home, folks? I keep some of the fastest hands on this side of the Mississippi with me at all times, and that goes for the cage and the boxing ring. So I sleep real good at night when it comes to if I have 25 drinks out in the city. I like my chances.
I'd like to see you have 25 drinks.
Shout out to Greg Rudolph, Karma Worthy, all the boys, the Whip, everybody, Hank, all the fighters, man. Broad, Spatty.
Even the no beard Bard.
No beard Bard. Yeah, you can't forget him. I mean, he's as tough as shoe leather too.
But there's so many other things that the Steelers. They picked up the tall wide receiver. He's 6.
Who has questionable hands.
Right.
Yeah,
if he can catch.
I've heard some people say that but it's all subjective because everybody says, well, he can do this. Well, the Steelers not only got the fastest man in the draft. Okay, they also got the largest guy in the draft, and this guy makes Big Snack look like a mini-me. You know what I mean?
And that'll help the linebackers
6'7", 350 pounds. They say in high school, this kid went 420. I mean, if he does nothing else, I mean, he could just fall down and have the offensive line can trip over him.
Well, just so two guys are always on him and it frees up a linebacker. That's what I'm looking at. We need some of that.
I think that the Steelers did what they had to do. I think what has been proven with the 2 8-8 teams that we had back to back, that the Steelers were on defense. They were old and they were slow. And they brought in a lot of young people. They brought in a lot of speed. And whether or not these kids can play football, we're going to find out. But they're kind of moving in the right direction, and I'm sure Jim's going to laugh at me and mock me for having any sense of optimism with them. But you know what? They're what we have, and it's what we got to
Hold
root
it,
for.
Chip. I got to go against Smoking Jim on this also. We're looking at another week schedule because when you're 8-8, you get week schedules. And like Zach brought up, they were a win or so away from being there. Like I've said many times, they're rebuilding. But when they rebuild the NFL, you can be a winner right off the bat for a year. Anyhow, they may go 11-5. They win. Who cares about Manziel up in Cleveland?
I think a lot of people are forgetting this, and don't any of you folks at home forget it. As long as we got number 7 under center and he's healthy, we'll be in every single game, no matter what. And you can count on that. So what I'm happy and what I'm pleased with is that they addressed the fact. I mean, not so much cornerback. I mean, that's a little bit startling that we really didn't go out and grab a corner earlier or sooner, But there's a lot of questions with some of these guys. But there's a lot of optimism, though, because they filled a lot of holes. And if some of these kids can step up and even somewhat fill, some shoes, we'll be in alright shape. But that remains to be seen. That's why we play the games. We got preseason, training camp.
Well, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about that.
Just to kind of, Alan mentioned Johnny Football. I honestly think that this kid's a product of media hype. I'm not as optimistic as some people are about his caliber of play, and I was really kind of pleased to watch Cleveland draft him because if there's anything that the Cleveland Browns are consistent at is stepping right in the middle of it. And you look at their owner. This guy was at one time a part owner of the Steelers, and the smartest thing we ever did was cut bait with him. He gets on the air yesterday and he starts talking about, well, Johnny Manziel needs to come to the realization that he's a backup quarterback and he needs to start acting like a backup quarterback. Now, this is the owner, okay? Now, I understand some owners are passionate about their teams, but I thought the owner hired a head coach, and the head coach hired assistant coaches, and they determined who the people were that were going to play. Right. So already, this guy just, he's under federal indictment, okay, for a number of different offenses. Yeah. He needs to get his own house in order and let the people that he hires run the football team. That's a good owner is not somebody like Jerry Jones. Okay, a good owner hires good quality people and he lets them run their team. Okay, right. I mean, you can say what you want about Bob Nutting, the owner of the Pirates. The guy stays hands off the team. He hired good baseball people, and he lets them make the baseball decisions. Let the football people make football decisions. Jimmy Haslam, you're another person that needs to shut up and go away.
Don't be fooled for 1 second, though, that you don't think the Nuttings play a large role, because, believe me, when it comes to the money, believe me, they have a huge role in how they hamstring that front office.
Being a small market team, they have to do that. But what we complain about is their consistency on not letting the payroll go much higher. And Chip's brought up the points over time on why. So I have some faith we're segueing into the Pirates segment, because we need to at least bring that up in the last 9 minutes or so of the show. And, they are showing some life, but the problem is you do have a lot of the teams, like look at the Brewers this year. You had Braun was doing well, then he went on the injured reserve or injured list, and now I think he's back again. So he's supposed to be playing. So we do have to watch the other teams. Look at Chapman's back on the Reds.
Yep.
So I mean, you have a pitcher now.
You've got a lot of teams that are going to have to that are going to have to deal with injuries this year, and the Pirates are no different than any other team. The Pirates do have the pieces in place, and they are going to have a successful season. And you know what? It's going to happen, and it's going to be interesting, because the team's mettle is being tested, and I think they're starting to rise to the occasion. In the last 3 series, you've watched them consistently play good baseball. They get down early, they battle back. Right. Okay, and then I thought for sure that they were going to sweep the Cardinals, and then they go down 4-0, and I'm like, oh no, here we go again. But then they end up losing the game 6-5. They should have won that game. They had the bases loaded, 1 out. And they just didn't get the runs across. But the Pirates pitching, which was their stalwart last year, it's a work in progress right now. Wandy Rodriguez is coming off the DL.
We need him. We actually need him pitching well.
He'll be pitching on Thursday, and yes, we need him to pitch well. Jason Grilli is starting to throw off the mound again, and what I want to see out of Jason Grilli when he comes back, and I don't know if he's going to get handed the closer's role right away, but he was throwing the ball 92, 93. And last year when he was effective, he was throwing the ball consistently 93, 94, occasionally bumping it up to 95. Right.
I'm glad you brought up him, because I have a theory once you hit that 36, 37-year-old mark, and the pitchers, it takes a toll on them in this day and age, because they're so specialized. Even if you only pitch 30 innings as a reliever, Chip, it seems when they start to break down, I'm noticing a lot of these guys, they have that window closed on them. And I'm fearful with Grilli, because I like him. His story is great, and he did well for us. But you can't bring him back as a closer right now. I think you have to work him into their middle relief or whatever else.
I'll tell you a name from the San Diego Padres, Hoffman. He was a great closer, but you just got to know when to hang it up, like to go out like with dignity, instead of going out getting bombed like the Wild thing. Well,
here's the thing with Jason Grilli, and he had an oblique injury. Now that affects the torque that you use to throw. Yeah, that's an injury that
and
you
he had
can
a
play
tendon
with.
Injury last year.
Yeah, that's an injury that you can try to play, but it does affect your performance. Now he comes back. I'm really looking at to see what he does, and if there's anything that I do when I go into the Pirate games. And by the way, the four of us will be going down to the Pirate game on the 22nd.
Yeah.
And I really hope Strasburg's pitching that night because I really want to see this kid pitch. But I focus on the pitchers. Yeah. I watch their mechanics. I watch the movement on the pitches. I keep an eye on the radar clock. And just see what kind of offerings that these guys have. Because that's the most fascinating part of the game to me. And that's what I'll be seeing.
I was a pitcher, Chip, and I watched their pickoff moves. And I watch when they pitch from the stretch, especially the starting pitchers. Now, when you have a reliever come in early, they usually go right to the stretch, even if there's not a runner on, just because they do it consistently. And to me, you'll see some guys lose a mile or two per hour on their fastball, which it's critical. When you're dropping 91, 92, these major leaguers are trained to hit that fastball.
Well, in a pitcher, when he's got no runners on base, he can take a bigger leg kick and he can really try to get, his lower body into the pitch. But, when you got a runner on first, if you noticed last year, a lot of teams ran on the Pirates. 2 years ago, more so.
Yes.
Not so much last year with Russell Martin. But, the pitcher is more at fault for allowing a runner to get a jump off of first base because he's not coming to the plate quick enough.
Right.
So they have to shorten their step, and that also affects velocity as well.
And I like to watch those strategies, like I was saying, not only their speed, but how they handle it. And if they do have a good pickoff move, you see the runners have some respect. And a lot of guys on the second base, when a guy has a good move, they don't take that huge lead. And they can sort of keep them back, which is nice.
And also, you got Russell Martin. When you got Russell Martin or like a Yadier Molina behind the plate, that gives the runners a little closer to first base because they know that catcher's got a cannon. Now, speaking of catchers, Tony Sanchez is up and playing again because Russell Martin's on the DL. And then when he gets off the DL, he's got a 1-game suspension to serve. And I see now why they wanted Sanchez to be down in the minors. He seems to have issues throwing.
Yeah.
His defense, he's good at blocking the balls.
He's great.
But geez, how many times have I seen him throw the ball into right field or, consistency with the catcher, that's something that you got to be able to do.
That throw to second base especially, you need a throw.
Yeah,
when you can't get it to second base, and these guys
my
are
question
running.
to you guys is how did you make it this far to the major leagues and you're unable to throw from the plate to the second baseman?
That's a simple question. The guy can hit. You know what I mean? You could be a fair enough fielder, but if you can put the bat on the ball and drive in runs, you're going to find a place onto somebody's team.
Especially as a catcher there, too. They want to see
base,
that.
then?
Subsequently, that's what will end up happening because the most physically demanding position in the field is the catcher, and it just destroys guys' knees because you're involved in every play, every pitch of every game.
Now, can I ask you this? Haven't they developed new shin pads, though, where they're able to, where it takes a little bit of the pressure off when they're leaning back?
I don't know about they call the catcher's equipment. They used to call it the tools of ignorance. But, I don't know so much as that. But just think about, try doing about 1,000 squats, up and down, up and down, up and down over the course of like 2 or 3 hours. And imagine what kind of wear and tear that does to your knees. I don't care what kind of equipment, because you still support your body weight up and down and up and down. That's a lot of wear and tear.
Most catchers look at Yogi Berra, who just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Yogi.
Yes, sir.
He made it. So
One of my favorite Yankees.
I'll tell you what,
definitely.
Yogi Berra, now, he of the 10 World Series rings, I don't think anybody's won as many World Series rings as
And
Yogi.
guess where he was playing when Bill Mazeroski hit that home run, Zach?
Left field.
How about that? Hall of Fame catcher.
Yeah.
You don't hear that all the time. Look at Mike Piazza, my double there when he was younger.
Yeah.
Where did he go? He got out of catching for a while. He hit 300 home runs as a catcher and finished his career not catching.
No, yeah, and that's the thing, because generally catchers are very good with their hands, so they're really good at either moving over to third base and more importantly first base, because first base having good quick hands is a real benefit, but you don't really have to cover a lot of ground.
Right.
Cover
the line a little bit.
First baseman
catch the
and
ball.
third baseman, their reaction positions. And the first baseman, he's digging the ball out. Making a good stretch. When the throws come in low from the other side of the infield. So
it makes a difference, but catching is a tough gig there, and if you can hit.
So you're both still sticking with the optimism that the Pirates are going to turn it around here before the All-Star break?
absolutely. Absolutely, Zach.
I'm hopeful. You know, my
100%.
traditional bet. My traditional bet is they won't hit 500, but I don't want to win that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I lost last year.
I'm
Just so
telling
you know, I
Zach,
didn't win.
Zach, they're this is a team that now they don't have to wonder, can we do it? They know how to do it, and they'll do it.
But the question becomes, though, you've already done it. Are you hungry enough and fired up and ready to go out there and do it again? You know,
They're hungry enough.
I know Kutch wants it, but he's not pitching. He can't pitch, hit, and and catch. So
No, yeah, but there's
that's why it's a team. It's team night.
This year, Neil Walker, he worked real hard over the winter to become better from the right-handed side of the plate. Yeah, to the right-handed side of the plate. He's driving the ball this year. He's hitting from the right side of the plate. He's hitting from the left. He's driving in runs. He's already had a few game-ending hits this year. I remember watching him on opening day. Saw him do it against who was it last week? It was either Toronto against the Giants.
Yeah,
hit a 3-run homer in the late innings of the game. So a lot of people. Jordy Mercer actually started hitting again, and that's a person that we need.
He's supposed to hit. That's why we kept him.
He hit last year,
Right.
and he's starting to hit again. I think Starling Marte.
Well, they're resting, and I'm glad to see that they're resting Marte because he's lost.
He's got a bad back, but
Right.
Marte may be the fastest man in baseball, but he is not a leadoff hitter.
No.
I think he is a much better hitter in the 5 or 6 hole. I think Neil Walker is a much better hitter in the number 2 hole. Jose Tabata has been a decent leadoff guy, even though he's not going to be your leadoff man. You got Gregory Polanco in the wings.
Harrison a little bit right now. Josh Harrison is having some success, which is nice to see him. He brings energy. I mean, he gets fired up and he runs and he tries. You can see he gives the proverbial 110%, which you don't see a lot of guys do that every play. He does it consistently.
He's a perfect utility man because he's not a person that you're going to put in your lineup every day, but he can put him in there and he can fill a need, and he can be a spark. And he's doing real well. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about the lineup that they started on Saturday night against the Cardinals. It made me scratch my head because Andrew McCutcheon was on the bench. Yeah. Marte started in center field. They had Harrison in left, Tabata in left, Harrison in right. One of those two. And I was like, what are the Pirates doing? The Cardinals are going to steamroll them, and they won the game. Right. Even with Marte being taken out of the game in the 3rd inning and, moving Tabata over to center field. Right. And I was just like, I was
Tabata looks in shape this year, and he's running a little bit.
He's playing for a contract is what he's doing.
Well, it's amazing how
they couldn't give him away.
Well, that's part why he's playing for a contract.
Yeah, he wants to keep playing baseball, man. He needs to start producing because somebody's going to want to pay him. So
no, we're seeing that. You guys watch any NBA at all?
Oh well, we know I love the NBA.
I'm just throwing it up there for you.
I've been following the basketball series. Last night, LeBron James had a really good game, 49 points.
His best ever.
And actually, the most important play that he had all game was when he dished off to Bosch to hit the 3-pointer that put them up to for good.
Right.
And so I mean, he's using his teammates. So you got the Heat up 3-1. Indiana's now up 3-1 after losing the opening game to the Washington Wizards. I did not hear what happened last night. The San Antonio game, they were up 3-0.
Portland won.
Yeah.
Portland.
Okay, so San Antonio's up 3-1, and the Clippers and the
the Thunder, Oklahoma.
Yeah, they were tied at 2-2. They're playing tonight. So we got some nice matchups going, and I'll tell you what, I think we might see a repeat. San Antonio and the Heat in the finals this year, and that went to 7 games last year. And nothing would make me happier than to see Tim Duncan end his career up with another title.
This sounds like last year, Chip.
And he's one of the classiest players to play in the NBA in the last 20 years. And they've got a solid team, but it'll be interesting because if the Heat win, I don't want to see them sleepwalk through it. I want to see them have to earn it.
Oklahoma, the Thunder have something to say as well as the Clippers. So I mean, it's not like the Spurs are already in the finals. Neither are the Heat, but I think the Heat will have an easier time than the Spurs are about to have if they got to face Chip's MVP, KD, Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Well, and I tell you what, another thing is that the best team in the East this year through the regular season was the Indiana Pacers. And the Indiana Pacers were sleepwalking at best going into the end of the season. They got taken to 7 games in the first round, and they beat the Atlanta Hawks in 7, and they lost the first game to the Washington Wizards. And everybody's like, what's going on?
Right.
Then all of a sudden, Roy Hibbert woke up. And Roy Hibbert is absolutely the best defensive center in basketball. And now Indiana is back to playing well. Indiana and Miami, they're gonna knock down, drag out. That'll be an interesting series to pay attention to.
That makes for good basketball. Like you say, you don't want to see people sleepwalking these teams. Mm-hmm. And when you have those big leads going towards the end of the season, look what happened with our local teams that we complain about. It takes a little while to get you started up, even though they're making millions, and everybody goes, look at these guys, all the money they make. How can they not be motivated to win? Right. But it's all relative, all the millions. So it's enjoyable watching a lot of these games, and I'm still with the Heat this year. A three-peat.
As you should be.
Whoa. Hey, we got one more thing with MMA. We got some MMA like Kama Worthy and Jamie Chesney. They're going to be fighting on the 24th up at the Greentree Sportsplex. You got Eric Bledsoe, who predicted on our show that he will win his first MMA match. So we're trying to get up there, and we already got promises we'll be in the Greentree Sportplex, so we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And now we have a little bit of closing remarks. We got about 4 minutes or so. Z, you got any closing remarks here? What's the update on the Penguins score since you got that smartphone?
It's 1-0 in the first intermission. And it's not, Neil took a dumb penalty towards the end of the first period.
Again.
So for some reason, they just can't get to, Bylsma is just unable to get the discipline to these players. He doesn't know the strings to pull at the right time to get the most out of these guys. Sometimes
I agree with you on that, so you're not
when you're
getting me wrong.
When you're a player's coach, you're a player's coach. And sometimes the guys don't respond to the player's coach. You don't want to be everybody's friend.
Yeah, and they got to make something happen soon here. And like I said, they've got a team that, by all rights, we shouldn't being up. I remember last Tuesday night, I got on the show and I said we were up 2-1. We were playing on Wednesday night, and I said by no stretch of the imagination is this series over. And we were only up 2-1 when I said that, and then Fleury threw another shutout. You can't count out. I mean, the New York Rangers have fought, they have scratched, they have scraped, and then you got behind a tragic event that happened to Martin St. Louis when his mother passed away on Thursday. And, he went and he played on Friday night. He was the number one star in Friday's game and Sunday's game, and sometimes a rallying point like that can be something that can
emotional lift you get. This time can help.
We got 2 more periods. The Penguins are capable of doing this, but I'm going to tell you what, Lundqvist. If I was a betting man, and I'm not, I'd bet my money on Lundqvist and net for me in Game 7 against anybody. But
let me text Smoking Jim. Can you get that with Tony Macaroni?
He's looking good right now. It's 1-0.
Yeah.
Rangers after 1. And
I heard somebody predict today that was going to be the final of the game. Rangers 1, Penguins nothing. But
my
they got 2 more periods to play. Let's go Pens.
Hey, my prediction's 4-1. Crosby and Malkin are going to score. I can't wait to get home to see that. When they start scoring, that power outage has to stop. Come on now, plug it in now, guys.
I'm going to listen to the game on the way home, and I love Mike Lang and the.
Isn't it great listening to him?
It's not great listening to him, but I wish they would say the score more frequently.
Yeah.
I hear all this stuff, and it's like, come on, tell me what the score is, please.
Yeah,
the other night, I have to agree with you. I wasn't watching on TV, and I was looking at my clock in the car, and it was about 12 minutes till they said something. Now, how does that happen? You're talking a fast-acting sport.
Yeah, give me the score, 2-1. Hey, it's 2-1 Penguins, and then talk about blah, 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 all the scores still.
Well, even
2-1.
if they say the Penguins have scored 2 goals and you bring it in that this player scored, that player scored, and then the Rangers scored. Or
my feeling is that you should just tell the score at the end of it, like when you take a commercial break or a TV timeout or something like that. But if the game really goes for 12 straight minutes, then but still in 12 minutes you gotta let me know what the score.
But that's what happened the other day, and it was like nonstop back and forth.
Right. I'm feeling it.
Definitely. Me too. Now, we're going on a road trip, Zach and I, so we'll be heading to AC to see brutal Brendan Barrett. We can't wait.
I send Brendan my best. I stay in touch with him on Facebook. I'm pulling for him, man.
He's been working
Good
hard.
guy.
We can't wait to see him in action. Look at what he's told us and how he is. He's healed up, ready to go. So it's exciting to go to AC and see him. And then we want to see West Virginia at Mountaineer. We saw some good fights the last time. My question is the judging. When you go to West Virginia, it really is an adventure, and it's more so than you think.
And sometimes you wish you had that girl that was a guest on the show last night at Sips. What was her name, Al?
Alexis Pierce.
Alexis Pierce.
She's only the second. There's only 2 women boxing judges. You got to watch our show. You'll hear about that. And come out to Sips Sports Bar. We're going to close this down. Root for the Penguins. The Buccos are starting at 8:05, so you can switch those channels. You're done watching us. We'll have that show up from last night probably on Wednesday tomorrow. So thanks for watching us on Verizon 32, Comcast 7, YouTube, and thanks for all those likes on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. Thanks, Chip the Prophet Hayner. Thanks, Zach, Little Z.
Rector.
And hopefully we'll get Smoking Jim Frazier back next week. Take care, everybody. See you next week.